So, welcome to another episode of Pedagogy Pods. Well, thank you for joining us once again. And today we are going to talk about something that's very dear to both of our heart. Yes, we feel very strongly about it. Guess what it is? It is all about storytelling. Yes, storytelling has been a means to convey knowledge, culture, values for ages. I mean, we've gone down generations to say stories, and they've traveled from one generation to another, mingling cultures, preserving cultures, and telling you much more. What do you think,
It is
Minakshi?
such a powerful medium, Meenakshi. I have experienced it in my classroom. I have experienced it online, and it is such powerful medium to teach, to show emotional skills to students, which is so important these days to teach them, and always actually.
Couldn't agree more, actually. And I think it's both art and a science. It's the art of storytelling
Yes.
that's very compelling, and here's our expert for that. And it is a science in the sense that uh, there are cognitive processes behind it. There's a careful planning that is needed to actually bring that story to life and have an impact on students. I'm sure each and every one of you who's listening to us has also had some form of storytelling experience in your lifetime. Here's Meenakshi Alawat, who's very passionate about storytelling, and she's done so much. Let me ask her, what is it that actually inspires her, and what does she do with storytelling?
I love storytelling, Meenakshi, and I love the process of preparing for it. I have done it for the small kids, and you will not believe it. They are so engrossed in this. I prepared all kind of props for storytelling. It gives them such a deep understanding of the topic of the story which is told up to them about animals. Small kids, they love animals. I prepared a story for some KG and junior KG school kids, and it is so interesting. It has sounds of all kind of sounds included in it, and it has such a beautiful message also to eat fruits and eat good food and eat nutritious food. And when I did that, there was a snake coming, and snake was doing this. The students were like that, and they took it so beautifully. They were their face expressions were so lovely. You feel so satisfied when you tell them stories, and it is very close to my heart.
I can so believe it because while you were just telling us that little piece or anecdote, I think what came to our mind was what's going to happen next? Because there's a snake. So there are fears. You learn how to handle those fears. There are realities that, there are animals who exist around you. How
There's
do you
a
interact
honeybee
with them?
sound, and you
Yeah.
say this, bzzz, and the students will immediately connect to that, and they will say, Ma'am Madhumakhi," and you feel so this thing thrilled about it.
Absolutely. So, what happens is you're bringing something to life and making a personal connect with them using storytelling as a medium. Well, storytelling does not just limit itself to language classes. It can happen anywhere. In fact, when you prepare for your classes every day, I think it's a form of storytelling that you prepare for. You set the stage for learning, you set the plot, and you also set the dialogues as to what is it that you're going to say, speak, or how are you going to engage students. So every day, while we are using this art form or we're using this scientific way of learning, how is it that we can benefit from it is what we are talking about today. I'll invite Meenakshi now to share with us one story that she thinks has been really impactful because of the way it was told.
Very, very impactful story, and this is the story I can name it without thinking. That is Kabuliwala, Rabindranath Tagore's very beautiful story. It has so much emotions. There's a person who comes with all the memories of his daughter. He sells dry fruits, and he got connected with a small little girl named Minnie, and they talk to each other so beautifully. So it's such a beautiful, lovely story, which evokes so many emotions at the same time, and it's very impactful and powerful, Meenakshi. It always, whenever I told the story, the students were listening to me so carefully. So this thing, and it's about telling the story also. You should tell it with a feel, with all the emotions which the characters are having. That makes an impact to the heart of the students, and it goes a long way in feeling the things and understanding other human beings feelings. So it's very close to my heart. Though there are many, many stories in Hindi literature which are very impactful, many stories are there which tell students that why should we love animals, why we should not hurt them, how animals also understand the language of love. I will name the story which you also might have heard, Do Bailon Ki Katha. Uh,
Absolutely. So, and
and Gillu, there
Meenakshi,
is a story called Gillu by Mahadevi Verma. I
yeah.
can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I
There are
know.
so many stories which
Like I
tell you
said, we are
about.
very passionate about storytelling, and just the way Meenakshi told you about, some of the Hindi stories, and there are other pieces as well. The entire Panchatantra that you have.
Yeah, Vishnu Sharma wrote those stories for some prince to tell them the about life,
Yeah.
about learning life lessons, and those stories, all stories are so beautifully written, and they are very brief stories for students, very easy story, and the medium is all animals. They are taught by animals how to live the life, what is the reality of the life, and many, many things comes into it.
Did you know Panchatantra were actually written for a purpose? Thank you, Meenakshi, for letting us know about it. There's another set of books. I know you all are very, I think we all as teachers love, the Roald Dahl stories. There's one particular piece that I really love that goes across grades. I love Peter Reynolds' books. They are amazing. The most famous one, Dot, and in September we had the Dot Day as well. If you haven't really seen it, there's a trilogy there. You must try and catch Peter Reynolds' books. I will leave a link over here in the comments for you to actually catch those stories. But it is about how far and how divergent can you be about these stories? Where can you take them? Asking the right question about the story, catching the right thread in the story. That is most important. For example, in the dot. Now, the dot is only about a dot, and you could make a gallery walk about dots. But if you think about it, you could bring in, patterns from MathsNet. You could bring in science of mixed emotions into it. You could also bring in art with a lot of colors, a lot of sizes. Now, all of that, when I'm saying, I'm like, is it art? Is it science? Is it maths? What is it? So, what I'm trying to tell you is, while we are talking to students, now this is what I was talking about for younger children. Let's say you're talking about the middle school students. How different is my dot from your dot? What is my preference of colors? Will that preference be same tomorrow? So what we do is we took up this project where we invited students to draw dots for an entire week. And what they themselves noticed was no two patterns were same or similar. Sometimes they would change the color, sometimes they would change the size, sometimes they would change the way they want to draw. So, that simple story, the dot, actually took them places to realize their moods, preferences change every day. And they also resonated with other children in the classroom because they had similar patterns, happening in the classroom. So, what I'm trying to tell you
Wow,
here is,
Meenakshi, I must say
yeah,
this is so beautiful. And thank you for giving this insight about storytelling.
yeah. So it's really up to a teacher how far you can take this story, and as far as you mentioned the social emotional learning part of it. Sometimes as teachers we are not able to find real good ground for teaching all of this. You don't need to pause to teach. You can actually teach it on the way. Especially storytelling is a beautiful medium, like when actually said, to evoke emotions, to help them learn how to handle or manage those emotions. Yeah,
And you need not to be preachy about this.
you don't.
Story should automatically bring that value into them.
Yeah. I think Meenakshi, way back in our school times, I remember value education being taught as moral science as a
Moral
subject.
science, yeah, yeah,
I
I
miss
miss
it. I
that.
really miss it. I think that is one thing that we need to bring back into our classrooms, whether we bring it as a part of our own, any of the subjects that we are dealing with. So, one of the ways in which, I normally tell teachers is when you're about to start a topic, any topic, let it be rocks, right? Let it be very vague, let's say states of matter. Find a story to connect.
Because there's a story behind everything.
Exactly. And it's the way you tell the story. And I think, especially today's world is all about the way you can tell your story. Look at the social media. Every little piece tells you a story. You're telling your story today too. By the way, talking of today's world, where is this art of storytelling going? With digitalization coming in, and with us being through pandemic, where I believe that some of the students picked up books, but we were very much digital those days. Minakshi, you did a beautiful project during pandemic. Could you please talk about that?
Yeah, that was the very, very difficult timings for students also, for parents also, for teachers also. So I thought, why not to tell stories? This is such a golden time, and you already suggested me that, and we found a name for that. Name was Sunogi Kahani.
Sunoge Kahani. Can you
Sunogi
believe
Kahani.
that?
So we connected with schools. We
Oh,
connected with.
wait. We have to first tell you why did we call it Sunoge Kahani? We could have called it anything.
Because
But
yeah, tell.
we actually wanted to we wanted people to have a part of inquisitiveness about it. Sunoge Kahani, it's pretty calling, it's pretty inviting. It
Yeah.
actually prompts you to say, chalo sunte hain. Like, we would just talk casually to say, Sunoge Kahani, would you like to hear a story? And this is how the story of Sunoge Kahani started. You can still find those videos on our YouTube channel, and I'll leave a link here.
Yeah, I told some of the stories I changed actually into that.
Yeah.
Some of the Panchatantra stories I gave a little
Twist.
twist, and I added some poetry to it. 4 lines of poems. The story, very popular story about the Tida being, the Tida is what is
Yeah,
the
the
called the
grasshopper. Oh
grasshopper
my God.
story.
Yeah, the ant and the grasshopper.
Yeah.
You have to go and hear that. You must go. I'll leave the address here.
I rewrite it because I wanted students to connect more with that.
Yeah.
So we made it a little more connected to this time, and we wrote some poetry, and we connect some dialogues were there where they can answer to the questions. So story should also be interactive always,
Very
because
true.
the participant should also be involved in that. If you are not involved in the storytelling, then you will feel ki after sometimes it's getting boring. So they should not get bored, and especially small kids, they should be participant, and it should be like they can sing along.
I remember you had made props also.
Props,
Yeah.
beautiful
I was
props.
just going to ask you, how different was your experience of telling a story in person and that, behind a screen?
In person, it's more fulfilling
Yeah.
for teller
Yeah.
actually. And COVID, when COVID happened, it was an experience. It taught me many things that it can be told through this medium also, and it was also very
Yeah,
interesting.
I think it helped us reach many, many children and parents who actually thought that, uh, they're not getting to know enough. They're not getting the connect that they had with the teacher in the classroom. So I think that's one gap that you were able to fill, and
I got so much
congratulations
love
to you.
from children.
Yeah,
So
huge
much love from
congratulations.
children.
Yes.
They sent message, ma'am, it was so interesting. Next time, please, can you tell us that story?
Yeah,
And the
they even
parents were
got to pick
also
up
very
characters.
excited.
Yeah, so she was like a live, storyteller. So people would leave their comments to say, "Ma'am, next time, can you tell us a story about this animal or that person, or someone living in this country, or a king or a queen?" And she would actually go ahead, find a story.
Find, and sometimes I wrote it
Yeah,
also.
she
Can
wrote
you
them.
imagine?
She's a story writer too. Yeah.
And I have not had that, but I have tried.
Yeah, thank God she admitted, because she mostly wouldn't admit. No, this is wonderful. And I hope, today we've been able to excite you enough to go back, tell somebody your story today, and go back to your classrooms to tell your students some stories that can have a lifelong impact on them. Thank you so much for joining us, and do join us next time with something new, is what we will come back to you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.